This food is disgusting. What kind of restaurant serves garbage like this? 10-year-old Harper Wellington's voice carried across the entire dining room of the Copper Pan, a small family restaurant in downtown Chicago. She held up her plate of fish and chips like it was contaminated, her nose wrinkled in exaggerated disgust. Her mother barely looked up from her phone. "Harper, please, not here." "Why not?" "They need to know their food is terrible. I've had better fish sticks from the frozen section at the grocery store." The waitress, a young woman named Maria, approached nervously. "I'm so sorry you're not satisfied. Can I get you something else? Can you get me a different restaurant? This whole place is a dump. I don't know why my mom brought me here." Mrs. Wellington finally put down her phone. "Harper Elizabeth, that's enough. Apologize to the waitress." "Why should I apologize? I'm the customer. They should apologize to me for serving this slop." Through the kitchen door, a man in his 50s could be seen working at the stove. He wore a stained apron and a simple white t-shirt, his face lined with exhaustion. He was the cook, and from Harper's perspective, he looked like someone who'd given up on life. "Is that the cook?" Harper pointed rudely. "He looks like he doesn't even know what good food tastes like. Probably learned to cook from YouTube videos or something." Maria's face flushed. "Our cook is very experienced, miss. He's been cooking for over 30 years. 30 years of making bad food, apparently." Harper pushed her plate away dramatically. "I want to talk to him. I want to tell him exactly how awful his cooking is." "Harper, absolutely not," her mother said, though her tone lacked real authority. "Why not? Someone needs to tell him the truth. He's probably been getting away with this for years because everyone's too polite to say anything." What Harper didn't know was that the tired-looking cook in the stained apron was actually Gordon Ramsay, one of the most famous chefs in the world. He was filming an undercover segment for his show Kitchen Nightmares, helping struggling restaurants improve their food and service. He'd been working in this kitchen for 3 days, deliberately dressing down and observing how customers and staff interact, and he'd just witnessed the most entitled display he'd seen in 20 years of restaurant work. Maria returned to the kitchen, visibly upset. "Chef, I'm so sorry. Table 7 is being really difficult. The little girl is saying terrible things about the food." Gordon looked through the kitchen window at Harper, who was now taking photos of her food to post on social media. "What kind of things?" "She called it garbage. Said you don't know how to cook. She wants to come back here and tell you how awful you are." Gordon's expression was unreadable. "Does she now? Well, let's not keep the young lady waiting. Send her back." Maria's eyes widened. "Are you sure?" "Absolutely. I'd love to hear her culinary expertise." A few minutes later, Harper strutted into the kitchen like she owned the place, her mother trailing behind apologetically. The kitchen staff had been briefed to play along, to let this moment unfold naturally. Harper stopped in front of Gordon, hands on her hips. "Are you the cook?" Gordon wiped his hands on his apron slowly. "I am. You wanted to speak with me?" "Yeah. I wanted to tell you that your food is disgusting. That fish was overcooked. The chips were soggy, and the whole thing tasted like it came from a gas station. Is that right?" "That's right. My dad takes me to fancy restaurants all the time, and they would never serve something this bad. You should probably find a different job because you clearly don't know what you're doing." Mrs. Wellington put her hand on Harper's shoulder. "That's enough, Harper." But Harper shrugged her off. "No, Mom. Someone needs to tell him. He's probably charging people money for this garbage and they're too nice to complain." Gordon studied her calmly. "Tell me, how old are you?" 10. "Why? And you consider yourself an expert on fine dining?" "I know good food when I taste it. And this isn't it." "I see. And what, in your expert opinion, was wrong with the fish?" Harper rolled her eyes. "Like I said, it was overcooked. The outside was all crispy, but the inside was dry. Any decent cook would know you're supposed to keep fish moist." "Interesting. And the chips?" "Too greasy. Not crispy enough. Basically like eating soggy cardboard." Gordon nodded thoughtfully. "You know what? You're absolutely right." Harper blinked, surprised. "I am?" "The fish was overcooked. The chips were soggy. The presentation was sloppy. It was, as you so eloquently put it, garbage." Mrs. Wellington looked confused. "Then why did you serve it?" "Because," Gordon said, pulling off his apron to reveal a chef's jacket underneath with his name embroidered on it, "I wanted to see how people would react to deliberately bad food. I'm Gordon Ramsay, and you're currently being filmed for my television show." The color drained from Harper's face. Around the kitchen, crew members emerged from their hiding spots with cameras. A producer stepped forward with a release form for Mrs. Wellington to sign. You're Gordon Ramsay?" The Gordon Ramsay? I am. And you just spent the last 10 minutes telling one of the most decorated chefs in the world that he doesn't know how to cook. Harper's mouth opened and closed like the fish she'd been criticizing. But the food really was bad. It was. Intentionally. I made it badly to test people's reactions. Most customers politely mentioned it wasn't quite right. A few sent it back nicely. But you, young lady, you came into my kitchen to humiliate someone you thought was beneath you, to mock someone you assumed couldn't defend themselves. Mrs. Wellington was mortified. Mr. Ramsay, I am so incredibly sorry. Harper, apologize right now. I'm sorry, Harper mumbled, staring at the floor. Look at me when you apologize, Gordon said firmly, and tell me what you're actually sorry for. Harper forced herself to meet his eyes. I'm sorry for being rude about your cooking. That's not what I asked. What are you sorry for? I don't know what you mean. Yes, you do. Are you sorry for criticizing the food? Or are you sorry for the way you treated someone you thought was just a regular cook? Someone you thought didn't deserve respect? Harper's eyes filled with tears. I'm sorry for being mean. Why were you mean? Because I thought he was just some random cook who didn't know what he was doing. And if I really had been just some random cook, would that have made it acceptable to treat me that way? No. No. What? No, sir. Gordon's expression softened slightly, but his voice remained firm. Let me tell you something, Harper. I started cooking when I was your age. I worked in kitchens where head chefs threw pans at me, screamed in my face, made me cry. I worked 18-hour days for barely any money. I burned myself, cut myself, worked until I collapsed. And you know why I did it? Harper shook her head. Because I loved cooking. Because I wanted to be the best. Because food isn't just fuel, it's art. It's culture. It's love on a plate. Every cook you see, whether they're working in a 5-star restaurant or a roadside diner, is someone who chose to dedicate their life to feeding people. And they all deserve respect. He walked over to the prep station. You said the fish was overcooked. You were right. But do you know why fish is easy to overcook? No, sir. Because fish cooks quickly and unevenly. The difference between perfectly cooked and overcooked is about 30 seconds. It requires constant attention, perfect timing, and years of experience to get it right every single time. Let me show you. Over the next hour, Gordon taught Harper how to properly cook fish. He showed her how to test the oil temperature, how to know when to flip the fish, how to tell when it was done just by touch. Now you try, he said, handing her the spatula. Harper's hands shook as she attempted to flip the fish. It broke apart, falling into the oil in pieces. That's okay, that's normal. Try again. 3 attempts later, Harper finally managed to flip a piece of fish without destroying it. When she pulled it out, Gordon cut into it to check. Look at that. Raw in the middle. You know why? I took it out too soon? Exactly. Cooking isn't as easy as it looks, is it? No, sir. Gordon then showed her how to make proper chips. Cutting the potatoes, double frying them for maximum crispiness, seasoning them at exactly the right moment. This is hard, Harper admitted, struggling to cut the potatoes evenly. It is. And this is just basic fish and chips. Imagine cooking a 5-course meal for 200 people. Every dish perfect, every element, precisely timed. That's what professional cooks do every single day. Still think we don't know what we're doing? No, sir, I'm really sorry. I was wrong about everything. Gordon nodded. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to spend the rest of the day working in this kitchen. You're going to prep vegetables, wash dishes, and help wherever you're needed. You're going to see what real kitchen work looks like. And maybe, just maybe, you'll learn some respect for the people who cook your food. Mrs. Wellington started to protest. Mr. Ramsay, we have plans this afternoon. Cancel them. Your daughter needs this lesson more than she needs whatever plans you had. For the next 6 hours, Harper worked harder than she'd ever worked in her life. She peeled potatoes until her hands cramped. She washed dishes until her arms ached. She watched the kitchen staff work through the dinner rush, moving with practiced precision, each person a crucial part of a well-oiled machine. By the time the dinner service ended, Harper was exhausted, sweaty, and covered in food stains. Gordon found her sitting on a milk crate in the back alley, trying not to cry. Tough day? That was the hardest thing I've ever done. That was an easy day. We were slow tonight. You should see a Friday night rush. Harper looked up at him. How do you do this every day? Because I love it. But more importantly, because I respect it. I respect the ingredients, the techniques, the people I work with. Respect is everything in a kitchen. Without it, you have chaos. I didn't respect you. or the food, or anyone. No, you didn't. But you can learn. The question is, will you? Harper nodded slowly. I want to. I don't want to be the kind of person who treats people badly just because I think I'm better than them. Gordon sat down on another milk crate. You know what the best chefs in the world have in common? It's not talent. It's not creativity. It's humility. The understanding that no matter how much you know, there's always more to learn. The recognition that every person in the kitchen, from the dishwasher to the head chef, is essential. I thought I knew everything about food because my dad takes me to expensive restaurants. Eating expensive food doesn't make you an expert any more than sitting in a garage makes you a car. Understanding food requires work, study, practice, and most importantly, respect for the people who create it. Over the next few weeks, the episode of Kitchen Nightmares featuring Harper aired. The internet's reaction was brutal. Harper became a viral example of entitled children, her face plastered across memes and social media posts. The comments were harsh, unforgiving, but there was a second part to the episode that most people missed. It showed Harper returning to the copper pan a month later, asking if she could continue learning. It showed her working in the kitchen every Saturday, slowly developing real skills and genuine appreciation for the craft. Gordon had insisted on including this follow-up footage. People love to see someone get taken down a peg, he'd told his producers. But they need to see the redemption too. They need to see that people can change. 6 months after the initial incident, Harper entered a junior cooking competition. She made fish and chips, the same dish she'd so ruthlessly criticized. She didn't win, but she earned respect from the judges for her technique and her obvious passion. Gordon Ramsay was one of those judges. Tell me about this dish, he said, not acknowledging that he knew her. It's fish and chips, sir. It's a simple dish, but I wanted to show that simple doesn't mean easy. I wanted to honor the technique, the tradition, the skill that goes into making something that seems basic, but is actually quite complex. Gordon tasted it carefully. The fish is perfectly cooked. The chips are crispy outside, fluffy inside. The seasoning is spot on. This is good work. Thank you, sir. I had a very good teacher. Gordon smiled slightly. Did you now? Yes, sir. He taught me that cooking is about more than just food. It's about respect for ingredients, for technique, for people. He taught me that humility is the most important ingredient in any kitchen. After the competition, Gordon pulled Harper aside. I'm proud of you, not for the fish and chips, though they were excellent, but for having the courage to come back, to learn, to change. I was so horrible to you that day. You were. But you were also 10 years old, repeating attitudes you'd learned from the world around you. The question was never whether you'd made a mistake. It was whether you'd learn from it. I did learn. I learned that the people I thought were beneath me were actually masters of something I didn't understand. I learned that judgment without knowledge is just arrogance. I learned that respect has to be earned, but it also has to be given. Gordon nodded approvingly. Keep that attitude and you'll go far, not just in cooking, but in life. 2 years later, Harper was featured in a cooking magazine's piece on young chefs to watch. When asked about her inspiration, she told the story of the day she humiliated Gordon Ramsay and what he taught her in return. I could have been defined by that moment of cruelty, she said in the interview. Chef Ramsay could have destroyed me, humiliated me on international television, made me a permanent laughingstock. Instead, he taught me. He showed me that even when someone acts terribly, they deserve a chance to be better. That's the kind of chef I want to be. The kind who lifts people up instead of tearing them down. The article included a quote from Gordon. Harper came into my kitchen as a spoiled brat who thought she knew everything. She left as a student who understood she knew nothing. That transformation, that willingness to learn, is what separates good cooks from great ones. I'm proud to have played a small part in her journey. Years later, when Harper opened her first restaurant at age 24, Gordon attended the opening night. He sat quietly in the corner, watching her work the room, greet customers, and eventually slip into the kitchen to help during a rush. When she finally had a moment to breathe, she found him waiting by the bar. Chef Ramsay, you came. Of course I did. Wanted to see what you'd done with all those lessons. Everything I know, I learned because you took the time to teach me, instead of just punishing me. Gordon raised his glass. Here's to second chances, and the people brave enough to take them. They toasted, teacher and student, connected by a moment of truth in a kitchen where a bratty child learned that humility is the secret ingredient in every great dish. And on the wall of Harper's restaurant, in a simple frame, hung a photo of a 10-year-old girl in an oversized apron, learning to cook fish and chips from one of the greatest chefs in the world. A reminder that our worst moments can become the foundation for our best selves if we're willing to learn.